Hello and welcome to Think About It, where we have two primary goals. One, to get you to think about it, and two, to just make more sense than Keith Olbermann, which is hardly a fair fight. Before you pop the cork on your champagne bottle to celebrate the capping of the salaries of the Wall Street weasels, I need to ask you a couple of questions. And these questions, by the way, are not just for my conservative friends who frequently view these videos, but I hope you'll forward them on to some of your liberal friends who hopefully are getting over the sugar buzz from the Kool-Aid ingestion that they've gone through in the past few months. None of us are losing sleep or going out on a hunger strike to reinstate the salaries of those Wall Street crooks. We know that. For the banking firms that received your tax dollars, yeah, there should be some controls in place. But are you next? The slow creep of government has turned into a full sprint. I don't often quote national media figures because in some cases people who view my videos think that automatically disqualifies my opinion. But in this case I'm going to quote Rush Limbaugh, who said a few days ago it's not the color of Obama's skin that troubles him, it's the color of his policies, because they're very, very red. Do you realize that out of the 20-something czars that are employed by your tax dollars, not one of them was elected or vetted by Congress? They are not in any way accountable to you or me. And so, when one walks into the Wall Street situation and says, we're going to cap your pay at, let's go for $200K. America cheers and says, yeah, you got to stick it to those guys. You've got to. I remember a few years ago here in Michigan, there was talk about introducing a tax on bottled water, on juices and sodas. In fact, that talk has been revived recently. And and on cigarettes, on smokers. And everybody says, you get the smokers, get them. You get the people who drink juice and pop too. Wait, that's kind of me. And get the people who drink that water. Oh. And it's interesting to see the slow creep of government turn into a full sprint to take over more and more aspects of your life. So, Wall Street and bankers get their pay capped at $200,000 by a czar that none of us has ever met, heard of, or voted for. And here perhaps is the most troubling aspect of the entire story. Your president denies that he knew it was happening. Your president says, I didn't know that was going to take place. I didn't know he was going after him that way. Okay? One of two things, then, must be the case. Either your president is a bold-faced liar with a radical agenda, so much so that he's willing to sacrifice what little credibility he's supposed to have, or he has appointed a pay czar who is a renegade and completely out of control and doing things in a pretty nationally sweeping manner that not even the commander-in-chief knows about. Question: why is it that the major focus these days of this administration seems to be successful people, conservative news outlets, and the further dumbing down and demeaning of our nation? Why are they focused on withholding troops when the commanders are begging for them? And why is it that so much of this is done in secrecy? You see, the slow creep of government, it doesn't usually rankle us as long as it's impacting other people. Are you next? This nation is being taken over by radical leftists, and most of them you've never met and you have never voted for. So what's going to happen next? Maybe they'll tax something you really like. Or maybe they'll decide you make too much money as well because your neighbor isn't making that much. Folks, if you sit here and continue taking it, they will continue giving it. Think about it.